Chaos exploded live on air as former Conservative Minister Steve Baker dropped a political bombshell about Danny Krueger's seismic defection to Reform UK. The intellectual powerhouse behind Tory policy has abandoned ship, leaving Keir Starmer's leadership hanging by a thread. This stunning betrayal exposes the civil war tearing British politics apart at the seams. Then came the killer moment. Baker revealed Reform's secret recruitment drive for government-ready candidates, while predicting Starmer could be out very soon. The establishment is crumbling on live television. Watch the clip.
Danny Krueger's defection is quite serious, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a seismic moment. That's because of the talent, the vision, the expertise which Danny has. I mean, he's one of the few people capable of helping Reform get ready to go into government. And let's not underestimate what that challenge is. Reform will have to take absolutely brand new MPs with no parliamentary experience and put them not just into government, but into the cabinet in order to form a government and then be high performing. That is a very, very, very big ask. And I know listeners I think they'll believe me, but having been through the process, it's difficult to convey just what a steep learning curve it is just to make a speech in the House of Commons, never mind answer questions at the dispatch box. So it's a big deal. Danny is a man with the skills and talents and experience to help them. I think he's also a big loss to the Conservative Party because he's been the intellectual leader of just the kind of ideas which have always been embodied in Reform as a party. So, you know, that's now a loss to Kemi as well. So it's a very big moment. I think the ramifications will be felt for a long time. You know, I don't know what people make a for, but the truth is that politics and governing is very difficult, involves trade-offs you'd rather not have to make, involves enormous amounts of work, both as a backbencher and as a minister. And that is not to complain, it's just to observe that it is a tidal wave of things to do, most of which have to be grasped in the very last detail. I listened to Annabelle earlier saying about why didn't things cross Keir Starmer's desk? Well, of course, his aides are actually paid to decide what he doesn't need to see. I remember a long time ago having supper with David Cameron, which was a huge privilege. And after we'd all finished eating about 9:30, I guess, he was off back to finish doing his prime ministerial box, you know, into the night, well into the night. So, you know, it's a steep ask to get elected to Parliament and go straight into the cabinet. There's been talk of putting people into the Lords. That won't really wash. It might be okay for the Foreign Secretary, but it won't really wash for a whole government. So, you know, Danny's defection means that now Nigel can call on somebody who's been at the heart of several governments, worked with David Cameron and Boris Johnson at least, very closely. He knows how the system works. He knows how it needs to form. We'll have to be very careful who they take at some point. But, you know, this is a really serious problem. Who are they going to get? And one of the things I've noticed from my network of friends is that Reform are definitely trying to recruit people from business, people with some political exposure, perhaps have wanted to be candidates in the past, but haven't won or haven't quite made it to the candidate list. And I know from my contacts that Reform at the highest levels are reaching out to people to see if they can be recruited to be candidates in seats they might win and then join the government. So I know that, you know, Nigel and Richard, they definitely are on the lookout for talent. And, you know, I freely admit that by recruiting Danny, they have got a guy who I regard as not just a politician, but a statesman, you know. Occasionally we've had disagreements, but we've always managed to get through them. And I've got, as people can tell, a very great deal of admiration for Danny.
I mean, does the fact that he's gone there make you reconsider possibly that whether you might do something similar?
No, because I don't really want to return to the House of Commons. I'd have to have a very, very specific reason for being back in the Commons after everything I've done in the past. I feel I've done my shift and I've got business interests to pursue now, which I'm very proud of. And we'll come back to those now if you ask me another time. But I don't especially want to return to the House of Commons. I suppose where I differ with you a bit, Mike, is I think that turkeys don't vote for Christmas. I think Keir Starmer could well be out very soon. But at that large majority of Labour MPs are not likely to submit themselves to the electorate anytime soon if they can possibly credibly avoid it, or even if they can incredibly avoid it. I think that they will very strongly try to avoid going to a general election and giving up the seats they've only just won, not least because we've heard them tell journalists that they've got nothing to lose, so they're expecting not to be returned at a general election. So I think they'll keep a government going, but goodness knows who will follow Keir Starmer and whether they'd be any good. I mean, obviously, you know, I would never join the Labour Party. I think they'll be a disaster, whoever they are. But even trying to put myself in Labour's shoes, I just don't see anyone with remotely the competence necessary to do the things that they need to do, like reform the welfare system.
Yeah, they don't seem to have a clue how to do anything. I mean, they started their one in, one out scenario yesterday, where we were supposed to see the first of several dozen, if not more, migrants being re-sent back to France. They tried to set one guy on a plane, and they couldn't even get that done.
It's a nightmare, isn't it? I mean, one of your callers said earlier, why aren't there right-wing human rights lawyers? It's a very good question. Why do they all engage in left-wing virtue signalling instead of being realistic? But the defence of freedom has fallen to economists for a very long time and out of the hands of lawyers, and it's a very, very great pity that they're not a bit more centre-right. But, you know, I'm afraid the truth is with Labour, they believe things that just aren't true. And if you believe things that aren't true, of course, real life catches up with you and knocks you around the head. And that is what we're all suffering from now.
Yeah.